I've always been a bit of a wanderer, not in the whimsical backpack across Europe sense, but more of a weekend getaway kind of traveler. A break from the routine. So when work gave us a surprise 3-day weekend last October, I booked a last-minute solo stay in a small town in Vermont. I wanted quiet, forest air, maybe some fog. The Airbnb listing promised a rustic cabin with vintage charm, surrounded by trees and far from the noise of city life. Perfect. I arrived late Friday evening. It was already dark, and the narrow road leading up to the cabin twisted through thick woods. My headlights barely cut through the fog, and the GPS lost signal halfway there. Still, I found the place eventually. A small A-frame tucked into the hillside, with an old wood porch and a single yellow light glowing above the door. It looked just like the photos, maybe a little more weathered. The host had left the key in a lockbox. No one around, just me, the night, and the soft rustling of leaves. I stepped inside and immediately smelled old wood, like a barn that hadn't been opened in a while. The place was cold. I turned on a few lamps, dropped my bag, and wandered through the small cabin. It was cozy enough. A couch, a fireplace, a kitchenette, and a steep staircase leading to the lofted bedroom above. There were a few odd decor choices. Porcelain dolls on a shelf, faded photographs of people I didn't recognize, and a large, ornate mirror leaning against the far wall. I unpacked, made tea, and tried to settle in. That first night, I heard things. At around 2 a.m., I woke up to a soft knock. Tap, 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 coming from the wall behind the bed. At first, I assumed it was just the structure settling, or maybe an animal outside. But it was so deliberate. I held my breath, listening. Nothing. I turned over and tried to convince myself I was just overthinking things. The next morning, everything seemed normal. I went into town, bought a few groceries, chatted briefly with the barista at the local coffee shop. She asked where I was staying. When I told her the name of the cabin, her expression changed slightly. Not scared, just unsure. "Huh," she said. "That place? It's been empty a while." I asked her what she meant, but she just shook her head. "Nothing. I'm sure it's fine. Enjoy your weekend." Back at the cabin, I explored more thoroughly. There was something off about the layout. Behind the kitchen, there was a pantry door that didn't fully shut. It looked swollen from moisture, and when I finally managed to pull it open, I found stairs, narrow, steep stairs, leading to what seemed like a root cellar or basement. The listing hadn't mentioned a basement. It was colder down there. I remember that distinctly. The air felt damp and unmoving, like it hadn't been disturbed in years. I turned on my phone's flashlight and stepped cautiously into the space. There were shelves lining the walls, full of old canned goods, tools, and dusty boxes. And in the far corner, half hidden behind a tattered curtain, was an old trunk. It was wooden, bound in leather with rusted iron hinges, like something out of an old pirate movie. It was padlocked, but the lock had already rusted through. It snapped off with a gentle twist. Inside were clothes, women's clothes, folded neatly but yellowed with age. And beneath them a stack of notebooks, journals. The top one was labeled Property of Elise, 1987. I sat on the floor, turned to the first page, and started reading. June 2nd. I keep hearing someone upstairs when I'm down here. The floor creaks even when I'm alone. I know I locked the doors. I know I did. June 6th. There's something wrong with the mirror. I keep seeing someone behind me, but when I turn around, no one's there. June 9th. The knocking won't stop. I closed the book. That night, I slept on the couch with the lights on. Every noise felt louder. The trees brushing the cabin, the creaks of old wood expanding in the cold, and then, at around 3:12 a.m., I heard it again. Knocking, this time from inside the house. 3 slow knocks from the loft above. Top, top, top. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. My phone was on the coffee table, but I couldn't make myself reach for it. The knocking stopped. Then, footsteps. Deliberate, slow steps walking from the loft to the top of the stairs. Then silence. The worst kind of silence. My heart was pounding so loud I thought it might give me away. When morning came, nothing was out of place. No one there. But something was different. The large mirror in the corner was fogged up. And drawn into the glass with what looked like a finger were 3 words. Still here. I packed and left within the hour. I contacted Airbnb, told them the house gave me the creeps and asked for a refund. They didn't argue. In fact, they took the listing down a few days later. I tried messaging the host, but the account was deactivated. I haven't told many people about what happened. Some won't believe me. Others will say it was just a bad dream, or maybe someone messing with me. But I know what I saw, and I know what I read. Whoever Elise was, she never left that place. And maybe she still hasn't.